Okay, well, hold on. We're going off topic. Let's talk about your situation here.
Totally true. I
And
mean,
that's what it was. And and it helped that you're just a very kind person.
all right, we're back at episode 6 of the New Life podcast, and we have a very special guest here, Mr. Lord Anthony, a special patient who we treated at New Life in our Torrance location. I personally treated Lord. It was an honor to treat him, and I got to meet him and review his case. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so
There
much.
for you.
How are you?
Good,
Good to
great,
have you.
fantastic, phenomenal.
Thank you.
I'm here. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me here.
I want to share that Lord is a professional DJ and a hip hop records artist, and he's pretty famous, well known in the LA area, and he's done a lot of work. He's opening for Exhibit and several other very well known DJs and artists, and I'm really happy that you made time for us.
Absolutely.
It's just coincidental that you chose us to do your treatment, and I got lucky to be picked as the surgeon who did your work and the workup for everything. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I mean, it was an absolute pleasure. Like just dealing with new dental and just stepping into the corridors of your office in Torrance. It felt like, for me, when I walked in, it didn't feel like a doctor's office. It actually felt like a spa day. That's how it
Wow.
felt. And not a lot of people feel that way when you walk into a dental office.
It means the world,
It
honestly.
really
Let's say that.
does.
That means a lot. And can you explain what it is that made you feel that way? I
It was
really want to know.
okay, so it was actually like just the coziness and just the how your staff, mainly your staff, and I will name names, and one of them really stood out. Enrique really went over and beyond. And I remember there was another Filipino doctor. His name escapes me, but he was wonderful too. And what was really cool about it was the fact that, I've already like, consulted beforehand. Cause when you're trying to get these treatments, you're always trying to like, you're not trying to get the best price. For me, it was value and also, okay, who's gonna treat me like I'm a human being? Who's gonna give me that sense of like dignity? And I kid you not, like before I met with you and your facility, I probably met with more than about 6 or 7 in my local area. One in Burbank, one in Pasadena, one in Glendale. Well, every time I walked into the facility, it was just like I just felt it was like a cattle call, if that's the best way to put it, where they were just trying to turn around patients. It's like, oh, you're next. Oh, you're next. It's just typical dental law office, culture. And of course, with my condition, I'm already feeling less than, less worthy. I'm already becoming self conscious. It's like, my teeth are not all there anymore and I'm losing my teeth. And, I'm in, like you had mentioned, I'm a DJ. So I work in the entertainment industry. So I'm in front center. So I was trying to do this kind of job or this kind of you know position in life that was given to me as a DJ, as a performer in the industry. And of course, let's just talk about it. People will make past judgments just the way you look, and that includes like your teeth, your eyes, the way you look. And sadly, that's the kind of world we live in because they judge based on the surface. And of course, for me, was I getting less work? Absolutely. Was I not being favored? Absolutely. But stepping into your facility gave me that opportunity, like gave me that sense of like confidence and a sense of like, hey, this could be possibility. Like, I can do this. And it was just the way that you went through the whole process. And then when you actually went over my chart and went over my, my medical conditions and went over like every little single detail was like no stone was unturned.
Thank you for that. Thank you for the compliment. And I'm grateful for the staff members in the office that treat patients as kindly as they have treated you.
Yes, sir.
But I'm grateful that you elected us out of all the providers that you had visited. But thank you for the compliments towards me as well. I must tell you very openly, I was more eager meeting you about your background and just the fact that you're a musician. I was wanting to just learn more about you because I am a musician as well. I play the violin and I used to be a DJ. Yeah, I wasn't.
I don't want to say you used to. It doesn't leave you.
It doesn't leave you. It doesn't leave you. I'm probably still a DJ. I don't have a setup. Yeah, I don't have a setup, but I probably jump on as a setup. Why not?
We should have a setup here.
Yeah, right here.
As Rob was saying that we should do a back-to-back, so you just go back to back.
Set up a DJ booth right here,
Right.
and just start little
Just
mixing.
mix
But
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I love that I can talk to you this way. You
Absolutely.
a patient, an amazing patient, for that. But to do this properly, if there is no human connection, if I'm not looking at you no different as a friend, um, and I'm not listening to you and your issues, and I'm not buying those as a provider, it's going to be hard for the trust to be there for me to do a really good job. I wouldn't trust myself to do a good job if I don't feel that and that much debt that I owe to a patient who has chosen me as a provider.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I'm grateful that we get the chance to treat so many patients. When you name someone like Enrique, I always name people like Enrique and so many of the other clinical staff members that I can't name because it would take a day.
You know, and you have a large staff of people, but interestingly enough, it's like, typically when you go to a dental office, you don't befriend these people. You just go through the motions and because you just want to leave. The funny part is, I don't know if I feel this way or they feel this certain way, but I honestly don't leave the dental office because half of the time I'm talking to them and it's as if we're catching up like at a family barbecue.
I love that.
And then the same thing goes with Enrique, and then Enrique is like, because I'm just like, hey, it's like, it's like, if you need to unload on me, man, and just like talk about what's going on with your life, let's do it. Because this is what it was about. Because it's such a very personable experience, and I recommend it to anyone and everyone that's considering this kind of, procedure.
Thank you. It means the world.
Yeah.
But you are uniquely a very special individual.
Thank you.
And you make it easy to treat you so well. And obviously we go above and beyond because we love what we do. It doesn't matter who it is, but being that you are so kind and so open and transparent and with so much love that you bring with you every time you come to the office, I think it would be impossible not to treat you with that much love in return. So we appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Your specific work, not to get into the details of it, that we had to do was a little unique, right? You had a decent amount of medical conditions that we had to kind of oversee.
Yeah.
And then specifically, the work that you had done had been completed in some way in another place. And you obviously have an amazing, beautiful smile. You very nice smile, but some of the components, the basis of where things had been built wasn't really proper. It wasn't correct. So we had to kind of start from scratch.
Right, sure.
And it made it a little bit more challenging because dealing with cases that have already been started and haven't really done well or weren't positioned correctly, whether it's the implants or the prosthetic, it makes it a little bit more challenging because you have to regain that trust to a provider and really to go under the table again to have work done. And that's why I commend our patients that go through this process of finding a surgeon or finding an office to do it multiple times when things haven't gone well, to really retrust another provider to do a good job. It's a big deal. And I want to say maybe 25 to 30% of our cases are redos of other treatment that has failed purely because it wasn't planned correctly or the provider didn't really take the time to go into evaluating the x-rays to dig deep and identify where really is the best treatment to settle on with this patient.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and that was one thing too. That was what I've observed and what I took away from the whole procedure is also you going through my chart and then going through my x-rays and then actually not just there's a doctor that just goes through your chart and just tells you da 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 da. We have to consider this, that, and the third. So you want to do it? That was like my impression with a lot of doctors that I've met. With you, on the other hand, he says, okay, I'm not gonna go through the details because your exact words were the devil's in the details. But there's something that I found that was very suspicious. And I like that you use the word suspicious because if you use other words, it either I would run to the hills or I'm just like, what am I going to do with this? And it was just like the amount of care and kindness that you put into the procedure and how you just, and it was very attentive. It was like you're talking to a family member. And I barely met you that day. And the funny part about this was before we can even talk about charts, what were we talking about? We were talking about Persian food.
Yes.
And my affinity for Persian culture, and I'm a Filipino American, and I love your culture. I love your food, and and I have a lot of great Iranian Persian friends as well.
I had a lot of Filipino friends too.
And it's just like it was the meeting of the minds and like finding a common ground and common place. And what I loved about it was just like, okay, well hold on. We're going off topic. Let's talk about your situation here.
Very true.
And that's what it was. And and it helped that you're just doctor. You're just a very kind person.
You're so kind. I appreciate you saying that. You're so sweet to say that, and I'll take the compliment. I think recognizing that being genuine and loving what you do is all that you need to be genuinely happy with yourself as an individual, to feel useful. And the most important for me is that I am putting my time. This is why I'm happy. I put my time, I'm putting all my energy into working towards something that is extremely impactful. And it's something that people genuinely need. And it's something that benefits them in such a vast way. So any time that I put in to become an expert or to better the systems that we have in this industry, in this realm, and to expand as aggressively as possible is really the solution that I can bring to this industry, to this realm, to help more people have access to this care that is really life-changing.
It is.
And it goes beyond the financial part. It's about feeling like you're on a mission, that you have access to something that is so limited because there aren't that many providers out there that are willing to put in the time to simplify it, to sort of stand outside of the status quo of the general way that this procedure is done, and to really rethink how it would fit the lives of regular people that are looking for somewhere, a place to trust to get quality work done, and to really provide a solution to that question, to that problem, is to really look from the outside within.
Yes.
And to really dissect what it is that we do and to come up with a better solution. And I feel that we are as close to it as we could be at this moment. There's always room for improvement, but we need to get more people on our realm, more providers that we could train, that we work with, who are part of this collaborative system that are also offering this care at a high level to a bigger pool of patients, because I believe this is the solution to a big part of our mental health problem that we deal with in America. I think it affects mental health to such a degree where it affects patients' confidence to leave the house, to go and to be the best version of themselves and to live life without limitations. Because a simple thing is looking at themselves in the mirror makes them feel bad, and they dissociate from people, and it builds up this negative energy that they have to carry with them everywhere they go. They go eat at a restaurant, they think about it. They go to the bathroom, they look at themselves in the mirror, it reminds them. And this is a constant problem that they can't detach from unless a solution is provided, and we have access to it. It's just a matter of making it more accessible by educating people about it, by speaking to people like yourself who have gone through it, who have suffered and then found a solution. And to see someone like yourself smile big and really be proud of who you are and to contribute to the benefit of so many people, to put smiles on their face, dancing with the work, the quality of work that you do and how much passion you have is really what makes it full circle and makes it so much fun to do it, because we're wholly helping the world go around, and we're enhancing something to make it better for people, and that's all that matters.
It really is. And you're giving a basically a new lease on life. I mean, like I said in my previous testimony, it lives up to the name. New life. It really does bring a new lease to life because
Thank you.
even though I'm gonna bear myself here and I'm gonna let you know that I didn't feel like there was any help. The jovial, the joking, that's just my nature. That's how I am. But I've been so accustomed to being that way because I know how self-conscious I am about my appearance. What do I do to substitute that? My humor.
Mm.
And that's what I did. And like for me personally, I just like my whole thing is like I believe, God, call it the universe, but I really believe God gave me a gift. And I always like to make others feel good, not just when they're around me. I just like it when it's jovial. It's like we're just cracking jokes. But then again, there are moments where we do talk about really deep, thought provoking, issues, you know, outlooks and perspectives in life. But I also just know how it is like to be the sad clown. I know that because yes, being a DJ is fun, but when the music's off, there's no more people. It's a lonely path. And a lot of those drives are long and silent. And when I drive back home, I go back to what I need to like think about is like how am I gonna repair this issue, and not even knowing how dire it was until you're really revealed and you looked into the notes and you were like, you have to do it now because if he and I remember your exact words were, you have to do it now, but I'm not doing this because I want to force you to do it. It's because that's a deep health concern of mine, and I discovered it because you said if you don't do anything about it, it's not going to give me a peace of mind. And what's more important in this lifetime? Peace of mind. And so as I was, contemplating that, actually, when I went in for you know, to do the inquiry, I had another gig like the following day, like a wedding. And then I was driving back. I think I was coming from Palmdale.
I think you told me about this actually. I think you told us that you have a gig coming out. Yeah.
Yes. And I was like, okay. And I thought about it and I spoke to, spoke to my mother. I spoke to the very key important people who who my confidants, close confidants. And they're like, no, if you feel you need to do it, do it. And I always believe like no matter what, because people, the very obstacle that comes in front of them is cost. Can I afford this? Will I afford this? How do I pay for this? And with the good grace of God and just me believing in myself, betting on myself, I said to myself, I'll find the money for this. I'll, if I need to finance it, you guys have a great finance plan. You got to do it. Because I thought about my health. And the number one thing that I thought about too, because there were other places that were offering really great prices, but at the same time, it was the value. And I also believe you get what you pay for. It's kind of like a DJ.
100%.
It's just like a DJ. Cheap DJs aren't good. Good DJs aren't cheap. That's what in our line of
Sure, yeah.
it's the absolute truth thing. You get what you pay for. And I feel like it was just the way that you guys treated me, and knowing that in the reality of things, I didn't really have the money for it, but like gigs started coming, and I was just like, wait, I got a DJ from what day to what day now? And I reminded myself, yeah, you're DJing from Tuesday to Sunday now. I tell a lot of people now, and it's
That's a lot of gigs.
it's a lot of gigs, and I tell a lot of people now, especially with the new teeth and just the new, the new procedure that I underwent and it was successful. It was also there. I also didn't tell you that I felt like there was a spiritual link between you and I. And in a sense, it's like kind of like, like when you said you find your kin or your, spiritual soulmates. And in that moment, I don't know why, but before I went under the knife and you were saying, count down to 10, I was like, 10. Fell asleep. But in that brief millisecond, I felt like either someone or you said like a little prayer. And then I heard a voice in my head when I passed out or, when I was sedated. This is everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, that's all I needed to know, you know?
And thank you so much for sharing that. It means the world. And I, I do remember. I do remember treating you so well. You left a very positive impression on everybody. And there was uh, it wasn't even that bad. It wasn't even that bad, honestly. But
It's all in my head, guys.
of course, of course. But genuinely leaving everybody with a smile from the moment that I saw you, and then the surgery day we get to meet and again, and we're, you're about to be sedated, and your positive attitude, you probably were nervous, but you weren't acting at all like you're nervous, popping jokes, and the truth is that for me, working with my family members, because I work with my brothers and
Yes.
a few other individuals that I genuinely see as family.
That was another thing too. I was like, it was a brother team. And I love the fact that you kept it all in the family and the way that you treated and you spoke to all of your, your staff. Like they were a family too. And they were like, yeah, he's taking care of me. He's taking care of me. He's taking care of my auntie. He's taking care of my grandma, my tío, my tia, my tita, my. I'm like,
You
dang,
know,
that's
we're just blessed to have so many good people, and I can there's no holding back. The surgical assistants, the prost assistants, and everybody in the teams who we have interacted with, there is a bond with them as a human.
Yeah.
And I can say it very openly, and I do see them as a friend, all of them individually, when we hug each other or when I see them. Even Rob, the gentleman that does he's our creative director and media director, and I can say that I have that connection, and I think it is probably very likely that it is the key to what has gotten us to this point.
Yes.
I do believe that, and it's the human connection component. Without it, I don't think there will ever be cohesiveness.
There really isn't. And I think it's like what I've noticed too, it's like you also, just like with your patients, but with your staff, you also allow them to fulfill their full potential, their self potential. And you also, what I also noticed too, what's really cool is just like, you validate them. You also make them feel like they have self worth. And a lot of
Thank you.
people will have that like existential like questions like, am I here for the right reasons? Am I doing this for the right reasons? But in essence, it's like you and your brother and everyone else that's working that facility, you kind of like, it's like, hey, discover what you're really good at and thrive at it. And that's the problem because we're not allowing in this modern day and age, it's like, we can talk about it. That's a whole different podcast. But in actuality, it's like, because I'm that type of person, just like you, Dov. Like, I just look at the positives in life. I don't focus on the negative because there's no reason to.
There's no reason to, yeah.
Because it's like,
Yeah, it holds you back.
it really does.
Holds you back.
And it's just like our conversation earlier before we started the podcast and how, like, the tethering, like, being attached. We talked about Buddhism and we talked
Yeah.
about attachments to things, person, places, which is, in essence, Buddha had mentioned that is, the origin of suffering and attachment, but you don't actually have to go through that.
Yeah.
And I believe, like, we had mentioned, like, you and I, we've clearly see that we're both empaths.
Yeah.
And being an empath, at certain points, you have to just observe.
Yes.
You observe, but don't absorb.
That's it. That's it.
And
Yeah.
because it plays a toll into your life, because then sometimes it's like not until that actual individual comes up to you, which a lot of people have already, it says, I really need your help. And I was one of those types of people. And I really felt like, it gave me like, a new take on life. And on top of that, it's like with the new teeth, but it's also the new demeanor. Your boy got a fresh cut.
I love it.
Like you met me, I had like 3 pounds of dreadlocks. Remember that?
I do remember that.
But I
Yeah.
felt like, yeah, it was just like trying to like, I felt like, in essence, like it started with this journey with my teeth, and then it just started to like get into this like mold or just like reflecting on all the things that I've done, what I've gone through, the loss of my father during that era. We're not mentioning that era, but 2020, you know, and 2021, I lost into that.
Wow.
And ever since then, like all not, I don't want to say burdens, but I want to say like all the responsibility fell on my shoulders. And then I felt like, what do I do? And then it's like, and then for me, it was like, first of all, I was like, I didn't get my teeth fixed. So, and yeah, it sounds kind of vain. It kind of sounds kind of shallow, but I'm in the industry where like image is supportive. Even if I'm just DJing, I'm in the background providing music, but I'm interacting with a lot of people. And now it's like it's come to the point, thank you to you. And I think it's just like continuous blessings coming from you, like, fixing my teeth and like me having a new lease on life, but also finding that sense of confidence. And now it's to the point where I jokingly say, when it comes to DJing, if there was 8 days in a week, I would work that 8th day twice.
Love that. And love that because you
But
love it.
yeah, but it's our hustle though. Like we understand
It is.
it's our hustle though.
But thank you for your genuineness. Thank you for your genuineness and what you say and what you mentioned with what you've gone through. For me, it all stems from being a human first and not having any judgment in any way. That's what it comes to me first as a provider, is to put away all judgment and to look at an individual in what way I could enhance their life and to identify the core problems that I'm an expert at that I could fix and really deliver that, and not judging someone and really being completely open and unbiased is probably the hardest thing as a provider, because it's so easy to try to cut through what someone is saying and not really hear them, listening to them genuinely, and to stop yourself, to know their story, to know what brings them to that point. And for me to see you smile and to be this human individual that you are, expressing yourself in this way, I feel that I appreciate the compliments, but to be very genuine with you, for someone as kind as yourself, we play this very small role in sort of tuning up a small little problem that was holding you back.
Right.
And the fact that you attribute it to us, I'm so grateful. I appreciate that, any portion of it. But for what we have done, I'm more at peace knowing that we have done something to enhance your life in any small way. If that, we appreciate it. We appreciate you expressing it to this way as well.
And the one thing that I can say, you're not just a kind person, but you're a very humble person. Because you didn't play a small role. You actually play a main character role.
True.
And I really believe that, with not just myself, and I'm sure with the hundreds and thousands of people you've helped, I don't speak for them, but I can equally say when I would cross paths with them, especially in that waiting room, they were like, yeah, you changed my life. He's like, I'm doing this now, I'm doing this now. It's funny because we would watch the videos. It's like, you'd be nice to eat a steak too. Yeah, but do you think so, right? I'm gonna go with Larry's after this. Shout out to Larry's. It was one of those type of things where we just, because like that's what everyone was either saying, and it was like, like, I can't wait to eat a steak. Oh, I can't wait to eat. It comes down to food, But like I said, it's like food brought us together. That
Yeah.
was like common ground.
Yeah.
And the thing is with me, it's just like, yes, it's just that human connection that people lack and need are actually in search of.
Yeah.
And I really believe like it's like you guys are doing like God's work.
Thank you.
And to me, I'm a very spiritual person, so I can't leave
Same.
the conversation without mentioning God, the creator of the universe. And you know, some like you were mentioning earlier, some people be like, "What's that all about?"
Yeah.
You should know what's all about
Yeah.
because this is like, it's like this is what like because they're saying like people won't understand like when you talk about vibration, frequencies, energies, vibes. But in actuality, from a scientific point of view, isn't everything conducted through energies?
It absolutely is. Yeah.
So
Absolutely
either
is.
good or bad.
In a world of all technology and detachment and social media, that is the last bit of hope that humans have in deep connection that allows us to really see past the superficial cars and the fancy objective things and really take the time to get to know a human being. And it's been a pleasure knowing you, and I'm grateful that you gave us this opportunity to meet with you, to speak with you, and thanks for coming earlier. Really appreciate that a lot.
As if it's important as a DJ, you show up early. You have to set up
Yes,
an
absolutely.
hour, 2 hours.
Early, always early.
Yes, it's not on time. It's like 15, 20, 30.
That's the only way. You gotta set up time. Set up time.
I think I even showed up early for mine
I think so.
because I had
think so.
surgery, and they were like, what time?"
I know.
Right?
Absolutely true.
Let's do this.
Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
giving us this time, and thank you guys for watching this 6th episode of New Life Podcast. Really happy to have this very special guest with us today, and
Thank you.
we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thank you, and subscribe if you haven't yet. Pleasure.
Thank you, Beavers.
Thank you so much.